Well, it is a post-game edition with the great Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times. I use great loosely with you, okay, real
You
loosely.
should.
It's all brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Chalet Bowl is Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established in 1941, located in Ryan's neighborhood, or near his neighborhood, Tacoma's Proctor District. Family owned and operated for 40 years. Frederick family and staff specializes in customer service for your bowling, food, and fun experience while at their unique 12-lane facility. Go to chaletbowl.com to make your next reservations. All right, well, at least they ended on a win.
Yeah,
That was positive. That was
well, I
about
mean,
the only thing that was positive.
yeah, I think that's like if you're in this situation, that's all you can kind of hope for is figure out a way to get a win. You don't want to fly across the country after getting swept for the first time. I think there's only 4 teams that haven't been swept this year. They're one of them. And then just I think the bigger thing is play better. Like they didn't play very well the last few games, so I think play better, get the win, and get the hell out of Dodge because they're just it's been bad. It hasn't been great.
What do you think, in your opinion, covering the team every day? What has led to the poor play of late?
Well, I mean, it's for them. I mean, they're so reliant on their starting pitching keeping them in games. So it's like when Bryce goes out and gives up 6 in Miami, it's tough to win. Luis was okay yesterday, but not real efficient, and and then all of a sudden it falls apart in the 1 inning. They probably should have won the first game of the series, but that's what happens sometimes. I think you just, when they don't get a good start, they're not capable usually of scoring enough runs to really win games. That's the problem. And then when they do, I think the other day when they lost, it was one of the few times they've lost when they've scored 4 runs or more in a game.
Yeah, it's but you and I have talked about this, a lot, right? They live on that edge, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
They live
Yeah.
on that. It's a razor thin edge of, if their starting pitching is just a little bit off, right now as they currently stand, Div, they just don't have the horses offensively to carry them.
No, and what's even also problematic is they don't have the middle relievers to keep games close enough to allow even to like when you're not great offensively, you can't allow deficits to grow by 1, 2, or 3, especially 2 runs. Like they got to keep it manageable. 1 or 2 runs they have a chance, but like when they get down 2 or 3, even early, it's hard for them. I mean, they're relying on the homer, and I mean that's especially when Julio's not hitting, it kind of falls on Cal's shoulders a lot, right or wrong, and that's been an issue.
You brought him up. I mean, it's, we thought, and I'm talking about Julio, we've he had this better month of May, and he was looking better, and he's had better at bats, and you're starting to get to the old Julio. Then June's come around, and he's reverted back a little bit, and this road trip for him was miserable.
Yeah,
for a stretch of games, this might have been the worst he's ever looked at the plate. Except for, but he then had a great at bat today, though, leading to the Cal home run.
Yeah, I think he's like 3 for 30 on this road trip, or 3 for 31. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the bat before Cal's homer, I mean, he swung at some questionable pitches to start the at bat. He fouled off some, and he just kind of battled. I think, like he's a superstar. Like you want him to be the superstar, and but he's young. He didn't have a ton of experience yet, and he's susceptible. They're all human. They're susceptible to the results and the moment. And I think that's been kind of an issue. We saw it a little bit there where he just moment gets a little big or he tries to do too much. He's fighting it. Like he's like really off timing wise, looking kind of falling all over again. And it's like times where you're trying to will results. It was like last night. So like today, fine. His bats were a little bit better. I think it was last night. He comes in, they've got a lefty on the mound. He works a 2-0 count. And the lefty throws him a cutter that starts out about middle, and it's going to go in because that's what they want to do. And he swings at it, but it's the recognizing that they're not going to give you a pitch over the middle on 2-0. They're just not. I mean, Kevin Cash talked about it, like how dangerous he is prior to this series. And the scouting report says miss off the plate because he still will probably swing. So he swings at that pitch 2-1, it's in. Then he's all of a sudden his advantage is gone again. Then I think he came back and swung out and another pitch away. The decision making on swings, recognition, and part of that is when your timing's bad, your recognition isn't great. But he's just got to recognize they're not going to throw him strikes, and when he does, he can't foul them off. And I think that's the bigger issue.
You surprised that it hasn't clicked yet for him? And we've seen this with another young player who was great a year ago, was the rookie of the year, who's from here in Corbin Carroll. And Corbin Carroll's had a terrible year this year. I don't know if there's any correlation. I doubt there is, other than, the league just gets more information on you, and more information equals, better knowledge of how to attack you. But you surprised still as we sit here and record this on June 26th, it hasn't clicked yet for Julio.
Yes and no. I mean, yes, because I think, it's not like they haven't told him what's wrong and how he's being attacked. And I think I think last year, people were getting him out in a certain way and he adjusted to it and got hot. I think part of the problem that's compacted that is he doesn't feel like he's very comfortable with his swing because of the changes and trying to refine something. So, when you don't feel right and you don't feel on time with your swing physically, then your approach of seeing pitches and understanding what pitchers are trying to do to you and how to combat that also isn't going to be great, because it's like you're worried about all these different things. So I'm not necessarily surprised, and because he's stubborn too. He wants to be part of the party. You want to hit it's fun that they're winning and stuff like that, but it's a lot more fun when you're contributing when they win. And when they lose and he plays bad, then he takes it even more personally and tries to do more. And that's probably the worst thing you can do. But it's and that's one thing you got. If you're the manager, you got to preach to him is, hey, these struggles on offense aren't all on you. We can say that as Julio goes, so goes the team. But there are plenty of fingers that you can point, or plenty of people you can point the finger at, saying this guy isn't performing up to the level expected either. I mean, J.P. Crawford is, kind of just mentioned the other day, I've been terrible lately. It's he hasn't produced at the level he wants. I think that's why you're seeing some of the frustration that we've seen from some of these guys, whether it's Cal getting ejected, JP getting ejected. These guys want to play better. They want to produce. It's just hard. And they get frustrated like anyone. I guarantee you this, and we've said it before, no matter how mad you think you are at the loss or lack of performance, they're more upset. And it doesn't matter how much money they make or anything like that. It still hurts them when they fail because these guys aren't used to it. They don't like to be embarrassed on the field. They're used to being the best player. And when they play nowhere near that, they take it personally. And that's when what you see is a lot of times they do stuff even more out of the ordinary when it comes to trying to get results, because that's the worst thing you can do.
Well, JP has at least been better in the last few games, and he can thank me, because the other day I think it was time to move him off the leadoff spot, and then since I said that, I think he's been on base every single game. He's had a hit in every single game, and he's been on, I think, at least multiple walks in the last 3 games. So you're welcome. You're welcome, JP. But you're right. It's, as much as we focus in on, Garver and Polanco and all the offseason acquisitions that they went out and, made Haniger and all those guys underperforming, Ryan, it's the core of their guys that have, for the most part, have underperformed, other than Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, and Cal's been streaky, and he admitted that he's been streaky. He goes in stretches where he just doesn't make a ton of contact, and that, I'm sure it galls him. He has 49 RBI and I think 13 or 14 bombs. That's pretty good. 82 games into the season, you'll take that. I mean, that's the rate is tracking, but even then, I think he knows that he could be better. I think they all do, and I think I know they are aware that they can't continue to kind of not produce offensively or produce so poorly or infrequently and think that they're going to sustain. I mean, if this road trip wasn't a wake-up call as to their fragile place atop the standings, then they're not getting it, because they lost 6 games essentially on their lead in the standings.
Ridiculous.
And granted, the Astros are taking advantage of playing the Rockies, but they also swept the Orioles. So, yeah, I mean, like we saw the stretch of baseball from this team at the beginning of the season. This is what they look like at the beginning of the season because they weren't getting a lot of good quality starts. And then they went on that run of good starts, then they looked better. So, I mean, they're going to see this every stretch. What's funny is like, I was kind of joking with somebody, like, Mariners fans just aren't used to having that stretch, like, blow leads in the division. They're used to that stretch happening early, and then they're always trying to fight back, I mean, like, seriously, like, when have they been in this spot in June?
Yeah, not
2001, 2002, maybe?
Yeah, that's about it. You're right, and it's just I think the glass half empty Mariners fan that lives inside of all of us that are fans. You just, I mean, to see a lead dwindle that fast, but you and I have been consistent, for a while that we just felt. And again, I think there's other people that have said this too. Where you and I, there's nothing groundbreaking what we said, but the Astros weren't going to go away.
No.
They weren't going to be dead. And until like they are officially out of it, they're going to be in it because they just possess a championship DNA. It's within their culture of their organization. There's too much pride over there of those guys that play and the guys that put that team together.
Yeah, and they're willing to do other things to win, but most teams are not. But no, like,
and that's okay if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, their offense is just too good. I mean, like when they're healthy and their offense is healthy, they'll just pummel teams. And what they do is like they beat up one starter in the beginning of a series, and then it has an effect down the road. And that's kind of what happened to the Orioles. They just beat up some guys early, and then you're playing from behind. Your guys are all banged up. I mean, like there's just no free outs. Those first 5 guys are really good. And I mean, I don't know where they're going to get the pitching to continue this run. But like every team gets hot for a little bit, and then every team cools off for a little bit. So we'll see.
Yeah, they would. You know what, Ryan? They would scare me at the deadline.
They still have a lot of prospects, though. Like they don't have the upper level prospects to get guys. I mean, like I'm assuming they'll trade for somebody like Eric Fetty of the White Sox, not Crochet. They don't have the guys.
So I was going to stop you. So you don't think they have enough arsenal in their minor league system to get someone like Crochet? Because that's the first person I thought of.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, maybe like unless they were to deal maybe from the big league roster, but like I don't know, but their farm system doesn't rate real high.
Okay.
And that doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, like White Sox could be stupid too. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, like, I think either they're going to be trying to deal from some of the lower level stuff. I mean, like Tyler Anderson's a guy that's out there, that has success. Eric Fetty, I think, because you're not committing that. If the Cardinals decide to sell some of their 1-year guys, I think those guys should be available. But I don't see them going out, and I don't know that there is going to be, other than Crochet, is there going to be that mega arm out there?
It doesn't seem. He seems to be the number one guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of red flags with him. I mean, obviously the talent, but like the lack of innings and the injury history. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, I expect them to add a piece, but like, where does it come from? I mean, the Mariners helped the Rays get back into the race a little bit here. So, it just depends. I'm very curious to see how that's all going to play out. I mean, we got a month, and people are just like, well, they got to trade for a bat now. Nobody wants to do that now because they know that like the market can be better.
And everyone's still in it. I mean, just look at all the teams that are still in this thing. The National League has eliminated 2 teams.
Yeah,
I mean that's it, right? Let me look at I want to get the updated. Let me give the updated American League, but who's eliminated themselves in the American League? I mean, I was about to say Toronto, but I mean, I guess they look at it and go, well, we're only 6.5 back. The White Sox have eliminated themselves, the Angels and the A's. So all in total in baseball, we have 5 teams. That's it. Yeah. That's out. So I guess you pillage those 5 teams. I don't know, but I mean, there's a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason why they
so
suck.
Bad. Yeah, so they don't have any good players.
Yeah, there's a reason why they suck. So it's like, and so that's like, and then there has to be a point of like common sense on these things too. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do and how it goes. And somebody like, I gotta find the stands here, but maybe somebody like the Giants, they can try and do the Jerry DiPoto and thread the needle where you add and subtract, whatever. I mean, but like, yeah, I'm looking at it. I don't think So what do we think the White Sox? I mean, the A's would sell just because they're the A's. The Angels should, and I think Detroit probably should sell too, even though they're technically not. They're ahead of the Blue Jays, but yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I guess if you're the Tigers, you're sitting six back. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Because you can't win your division. That's the thing. Like the Astros
Right.
now, the Astros have played themselves into a position not just for
Right.
the wild card or for the division, but the wild card. They have multiple avenues, whereas like I don't think some of these other teams do.
Right.
Like the Blue Jays now. Blue Jays are going to have to hop over how many teams? Five. I mean, 5 or 6. That's the issue. So I
What
don't
did?
know.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get the very latest on Wu. Were the results from the MRI were good, right? So what do we think? 1 or 2 starts he misses?
Yeah, I mean, probably 2. What 2? I mean, if it's a 14-day or it's a 15-day minimum, it's 2.
Okay.
And then hopefully from there. I mean, if it's a lower grade or grade 1, yeah, I think so. It's certainly not from lack of leg lifting with that guy.
Well, I mean, and that's what I don't get. I mean, he is if anyone, everyone's seen him, but Ryan, you see him all the time. He is a physical specimen. I mean,
he's built like a linebacker kind of.
Yeah, and he puts in the work and the effort. I'm just wondering if like he gets to the offseason and says, I don't know what I need to do. Maybe I need to change something up. I mean, I know the 2 injuries aren't related, but they're nagging little injuries.
Yeah, I mean, soft tissue of some sort, but like I guess some people say it can be diet related. Some people say it's like all these different things. At some point too, maybe you just it's hot here. He could have been a little dehydrated. That could have led to it as well.
Okay.
I don't think there's any real answers, but it's frustrating. And he was very upset trying to talk to him about it yesterday. And I assume that they'll have Emerson Hancock start on Sunday or Jonathan Diaz. I mean, that could change. They're listing it as TBA, but, looking like Castillo, he had to work the other day, and he looked a little, he started to lose command late. He's at 100 pitches. Like, maybe they need that extra day. Like, to me, steal the rest days when you can, and if you put Emerson in the rotation to start the season, and he was perfectly capable. Like, and I think, if you don't have to pitch Bryce against the Orioles, then don't pitch him against the Orioles.
Well, okay, makes sense. You and I talked off the air, last night about this, but just it makes sense again for the audience, for the viewers, for the listeners, the Dallas Keuchel trade, because the immediate reaction, and I understood it. The immediate reaction is, wait a minute, why are we trading a guy that could add depth to the rotation, which we need that because of the situation with Brian Wu? But why did it make sense to trade Keuchel to the Brewers for cash?
Well, one, I think he had an opt-out for July 1, so he was going to be out, and then 2, like, you could argue whether or not he's that much better than Jonathan Diaz at this point,
Right.
Keuchel's throwing 87 to 88 miles an hour. It's a field pitcher, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I certainly don't think you want to start him against the Baltimore Orioles. And I think it was just I think they're just pretty and the other thing is like, so he's a veteran. Like, you put him on the roster and say you want to move him off, you have to DFA him, he's gone. Like with Diaz and with Hancock, if you want to bounce one out for the other and you want to manipulate your roster and play the roster manipulation game, you can do that. Once you put Keuchel off, he has to stay on, and the moment you take him off, you DFA him, you lose him. And I mean, like, what if it's only one start? What if they figure out a way, like, they don't want to do that, and you go for one start, you put them on there, you burn a 40-man roster spot, you give up a player. I mean, like, I just think there was a lot of different avenues. I think, one, they knew that Wu's injury wasn't as serious as they thought it would be. 2, I think they're just perfectly comfortable with Emerson or Jonathan Diaz going up there. I mean, these guys, there's a reason they went to those guys before when they needed spot starts. It wasn't because I just think that it just, to them, it was never really an option. I mean, like, even when he was pitching really, really well at AAA, from what I was told, that he was never really a consideration.
You think they'll look for a starter? The one person I've immediately thought of was Chris Flexen with the White Sox, just because he has a history with this team.
Yeah, I mean, they could do that, and you're not going to give up very much for him, so they could do that. Like, if Wu's not tracking properly, yeah, maybe you go out and get him back for something cheap. There's, lower level guys. You're not spending a lot of money. I mean, Tyler Anderson would fit them really, really well. He's a lefty. He would be perfect for him, but he plays for the Angels, and I don't know that Artie Moreno wants to trade with Jerry
Yeah.
Dipoto. So, yeah, I mean, like they should, but I don't think it's a priority. I think
Okay.
middle reliever is a priority. Hitter is a priority. I mean, wouldn't be opposed to two middle relievers depending on how Spire looks when he starts his rehab.
But Santos will throw a live BP this Friday at home, and so that
Friday,
he's
yeah,
getting closer. That's good.
yeah. So if he feels good on that, then he would start a rehab assignment with Tacoma probably on that Tuesday of the week. You give him a couple days off, and then they don't play on Monday. So Tuesday of that following week, he would probably start his rehab assignment.
Okay. What you had an interesting post there on your favorite site. That would be Twitter/X. And an observation, and I'm curious where this is going to go. Ryan Bliss in the outfield taking reps.
I don't think it'll go that far. I'd be surprised if we saw him start a game there. I think it's just like if you're going to keep him on the roster, he's got to be able to do something besides play second base. Now,
Yeah.
granted, like it worked out today. Raleigh had a sore shoulder. They scratched him. They put him in there. That's fine. But like, if he's going to be on the roster, he can't be that positionally limited. They've already got guys like that. They want if you say you pinch run him late, and then you need it to like maneuver around, and he can go to left field and be competent there. That's what they're doing it for. It's not like a permanent position shift or anything like that.
Okay.
I just think they want to have flexibility in late game situations if they make multiple moves that he can go out there and not not be a problem or a liability because I think they're comfortable with leaving Rojas at third. We all know that Bliss doesn't maybe have the arm strength to play third or even short. So, you got to find a way if you're going to put him in there to use him, and I think that's the best option.
Looking at today's game, George Kirby was great. The M's PR staff had that great stat: two runs or less in 6 consecutive starts here for Kirby with a 1.70 ERA, 40 strikeouts and 3 walks. There was a play in the game which ended up leading to the first run with Caballero here as we record this on a Wednesday. The last game against Tampa was the miscommunication there with Ty France. What ended up happening there? What was the explanation from both those guys on that play at first base?
So what happened was Ty was playing well off the bag. They're playing off bag because of the shift with Yandy Diaz and where he hits the ball. And they certainly don't think he's going to hit a chopper to the right side. Mariners pitchers are sort of taught, hey, just let the ball go through most times. Don't be a hero. Kirby makes the play, but France is already positioned over there, so he's moving, thinking that he can field it, and Kirby's going to go cover. Kirby fields it, looks at Cabby at second, and then sees that there's nobody at first because Ty had went to field it. So George admitted that he had forgotten that Ty was playing so far over, and he would have just ran himself. Caballero made a really heads-up play.
Yeah, he did.
In that situation, if you don't, I think, it's early in the game, you're thinking either get an out or don't let the run score. Either or. Don't either, commit, just go get the out, let him score, or just eat it and, try and get a double play or something. But that's just one of those fluky plays that happened. I spent a lot of time, far too much time looking at that and discussing it with people on Twitter. I think I'm just kind of come to the realization I'm not going to respond anymore.
There you go.
I think because it's just like, you spend all this time replying to people, and even people that are earnest or not wanting to get in debate. It's just like, I should be watching the game.
It turns into debate sitting, and it wastes all your time. How are they right now? Give us a feel for the mood of the team right now.
I think they're relieved that they got the win. I think they're really excited to get home. It's funny they have so much confidence in playing at home, and before it used to be hitters dreaded going home. They play so much better at home. I think they're fine. I think to them, because of especially like Cal and JP, Julio, Ty France, a lot of those guys that have been through this and seen the ups and downs, they're like, yeah, we're still in a way better place than we've been for a few years. It's their mindset. So it's like, yeah, we've hit a rough spot. We haven't played well. We're going to lose. If you play well, he'll win, and that's kind of what they think. They just gotta start playing better. So I think that they believe they'll play well at home.
Okay, safe travels back. We'll make it a brief, abbreviated 182, episode 182 visit here with Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times, all brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Good luck on that flight home. I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. Hopefully, you can upgrade. Don't have to be in middle seat.
Well, it's 7 a.m. tomorrow, so yeah, it's going to be a full one. And then I have to go hit golf balls tomorrow because
that's right.
I haven't picked up a club yet this year, and I have the Mayor of Maple Valley on Friday.
We'll see you there. We'll see you at Druids on Friday for the Mayor of Maple Valley Open with Ian Furness. I can't wait to see you.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see you swing a golf club.
I told them to put your group in front of ours or behind ours. So
okay.
We can hang out.
Well, let's do a live, like if we do that, we can do a live show.
Well, my group has got Larry Stone and Tim Booth and Alex Akita in it. It's like
this is perfect. This is great. I can't wait for Friday. This is the best thing that's ever happened. All right, we'll talk to you Friday.
All right, see you.